Hello, and thank you for joining us once again on RPI Consultants Webinar Wednesday series. Today's topic is what's new in Yoga. Yoga is our proprietary lightweight HTML client. First, a few housekeeping items. The webinar will be recorded and will be available on our YouTube and our website. That will be done swiftly here this week. For everyone dialing in today, you will be receiving a copy of the slide deck via email. So don't feel like you have to screenshot everything. We do have a moderator standing by to take questions, so feel free to use the GoToWebinar question window to submit questions, and if appropriate, they'll interrupt us in the middle, or they'll just save questions to the end. And of course, please, if you have any webinar ideas, any topics you would like to see covered across the spectrum of solutions and products that we work with, please don't hesitate to offer some suggestions, whether via the webinar or just email us. We would love to entertain those. All right. Today, we had a webinar over healthcare solutions this morning. Today, of course, right now you're watching the yoga webinar, and at 3 Central, we have another webinar on technical and solution health checks that RPI offer. On May 2nd, which is our webinar Wednesday next month, we have a webinar in the morning on Outlook integration for OnBase. In early afternoon, we have Kofax products and solutions. It's an overview of all of the different things that Kofax offers. And then later in the afternoon, we have planning your next upgrade for your ECM and OCR platforms. A little bit about me. My name is John Marney. I'm the manager of solution delivery here at RPI Consultants on the imaging team. Over 8 years of ECM and OCR design and implementation experience. Majority of my experience has been in back office solutions, accounts payable, human resources, often at hospitals or healthcare organizations. I am OnBase installer and KTA Essentials certified. And many people don't know this about me, but I'm actually a failed NFL wide receiver.
It's true.
As is Alex, I guess.
He failed very hard. My name is Alex Lindsey. I'm a senior solution architect here with RPI Consultants. I've got over 6 years working with ECM, workflow products, as well as OCR products. My focus is a lot on automation. So if you have solutions or processes in place and you have a software suite or you don't, I'm here to help you work through scenarios that you guys could find to automate your processes and make it a little bit easier for your end users. I do specialize in accounts payable quite a bit, so if you have questions about that, hit me up. I'm also a big fan of whiskey and a novice axe thrower.
So what's our agenda today?
So we're going to start off first by talking a little bit about our RPI Consultants. We are narcissists, so we just love to talk about ourselves. We're going to talk about yoga, what it is. We've got previous slide decks and previous presentations on what yoga is as we were releasing it. And then we're going to really just jump into the new features, show you what's new in our latest release, how it can help you. And we'll also talk a little bit about our roadmap and what's coming down the road. We also have a demonstration for you today, a video kind of highlighting some of the new features, in particular the reporting dashboard that we're very excited about. Then we'll close up with a summary and open up for questions for you guys. So a little bit about ourselves. We are RPI Consultants. We have about 80 full-time consultants, project managers, a lot of technical resources that can help you on a lot of different areas. We've got a very strong focus on the Infor practice. The majority of the people based in Baltimore are focused on that practice, but we also have offices in Tampa and Kansas City where we are broadcasting from as well. From our team, we focus on the imaging strategy. So if you have ECM products or OCR products to basically extract data off of documents and things like that, we are the team to come talk to for that. But if you need business process analysis or any kind of managed services, if you have admins that are just neck deep in too much work with all the software products that you have, come talk to us and we may be able to help you out.
We are partners with Highland, Kofax, and Infor. Okay, so what is yoga? Yoga is HTML5, again, front-end client developed by RPI. It was originally built for ImageNow or Perceptive Content, but really it is platform agnostic. Could work with just about anything. Probably the biggest thing to say about it, it just does not require anything other than a modern browser. So whereas WebNow required Java, there are other products that have required Silverlight, no Shockwave player. In fact, there's not even a, on the back side, there's no Apache Tomcat required. Yoga Studio, to differentiate, Yoga Studio is the back end of Yoga. It is a Node.js application server, which is very lightweight. easy to download, easy to install. And it connects to Perceptive Content via calls to integration server. So a quick overview of some of the functionality that Yoga offers. There are views for your documents, folders, and your tasks. You can open documents and modify them and route them inside of your workflow processes. Of course, you can apply annotations such as stamps and sticky notes. And for approvals, you can even complete tasks. You can view e-forms, including the APE form, which is well known by many of the people viewing, I imagine. And you can retrieve documents via a direct URL using document ID or metadata keys. And of course, the platform is easily customized to your specific needs without an expensive app development project.
So some of the other functionality overviews, so it is mobile responsive. So like John mentioned, you just need an HTML5 browser. So that includes your tablets, your phones, and other devices, even Blackberries, if you guys are still using those. There, again, no Java dependencies. So if you are a Perceptive customer using WebNow, that's a big hooray for you guys. It doesn't consume a user license on login as well. So that's kind of a nice feature. You can deploy multiple instances of this pretty easily across different organizations or different departments, for instance. And it could basically be accessed by the internet, intranet, or both. So if you had and you'll see in the reporting dashboard, if you wanted to give users the ability to run a report or see this report, for instance, you can post that to your intranet, the link to on your intranet site, and make that available to people.
Right. So what are some of the requirements?
So some of the requirements, Perceptive Content 7.1.5 or higher. Based on our setup right now, that's what we have. It can work on older versions like 7.1.3, but there are some limited features, mostly to do with integration server and how that connection happens. You'll also need Node.js. That is a free download, so you don't have to worry about any extra costs associated with that. We will need a direct database access for the Yoga Reporting Studio, and that's basically to just allow Yoga to go and read off of the IMageNow database table to pull workflow processes, index values, items associated with your documents that are in workflow, for instance, to kind of just pull that information out so we can display that. Integration server with transaction packs is also required, and there is really no specific user type license that you need for this.
Right. Okay, so let's go over some of the newer features, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's coming up. So one of the new things that we're really excited about is the Yoga Reporting Studio. This is a solution dashboard that includes some reporting features.
Yeah, and this is something that we've been working on for quite a while now. John and I have been working on it. We've got developers doing it. We've got a team of people doing QA on all the pieces as well. And really what it's supposed to do is give you a snapshot of a particular workflow process or processes. If you want to point it to multiple, you can. But really just give you a snapshot of where documents are in your workflow. So as you're processing recruitment documents or onboarding documents for HR solution, or if you have an accounts payable, and I mean, invoice lifecycle is a big thing, from the point of capture to the point when you actually post to your ERP like PeopleSoft or Lawson. It's important to know where your documents are, and maybe even more importantly, where they're getting hung up, so you can go and address those issues pretty quickly. To an extent, if you're a Perceptive Content user, you can do that a little bit just from workflow views or maybe some custom views that you can run, but it doesn't really give you the capability to drill down as much as you may want to. So this Yoga Reporting Studio really kind of solves that issue and gives you line of sight into your documents in their workflow processes. You can also create and manage your own filters on views and workflow. That's a nice feature that we've added as well. You'll be able to see that in the demonstration. And then for sticky notes, the sticky note annotations have been added as well. So you can continue to leave passive aggressive marks to your messages to your coworkers, but you can now do it in Yoga instead of the thick client. Document export, so you can actually export the document out of Yoga to be saved locally. And then other small things like contextual field names. So instead of saying field 1, field 2, field 3, it can say invoice number. So it kind of gives more context to the documents that you're viewing.
All right. So what's coming down the pipe? Well, we're absolutely going to be expanding the reporting studio functionality. We have a historical report that is going to be released in the next release. And then other ideas such as approvals drill down, or really like an AP dashboard where you could see information on your top vendors, let's say. And then we'll also be connecting with outside databases such as Intelligent Capture and your ERP so that you can get a real end-to-end look at your business process. We're adding indexing tabs. So inside of Yoga, you'll see tabs for different things like indexing information and forms. These tabs will allow you to somewhat eliminate the need for custom e-forms and the intense development that goes into that. For example, an HR indexing form we could quickly build out. And then we'll be building connectors for additional products such as OnBase, Box, if you haven't heard of that, it's a great ECM product, and Kofax Total Agility. So enough of our yapping at you. We're going to go ahead and give you what you came for. Here's a demonstration.
What you see here is the login page for RPI's Yoga software. I'm going to log in with an account we have set up. This authenticates off of our internal Perceptive Content environment. And when I log in, you will see a short loading screen. Yoga does cache a few things so that the user experience is very speedy and responsive once the user is in. And you'll see that the first thing that loads up is the Yoga dashboard. This is a new feature that we're very excited about. This is giving us a quick snapshot look at our workflow. And instead of going through integration server to fetch data, this is actually going directly to the database so that we can formulate this data however we want. To walk through what is on the screen here, there's a list of workflow queues. This is actually looking for documents in every queue inside of the whole process. It only lists queues, though, that have documents inside of them. So there are a number of empty queues that don't have any documents. Next, it lists the documents in the queue, the total number of documents, then the oldest document by created date. Then it provides a breakdown of those documents by day groupings, 0 to 5, 6 to 10, and 10 plus days, and then the oldest invoice date in that queue. So this is an accounts payable workflow. However, there are other columns we can add. Virtually any piece of metadata on the document could be added. For example, we have built this dashboard to also include a total of invoice amounts in the queue in the past. Next, the next great feature of this dashboard is that we can actually click on the queue detail or the number of day breakdowns to get that information. So if I look at my AP detail entry queue and I click that, it actually will pop up another window showing the information, the document detail information on the queue. Next, I can go to the day breakdowns here and click on that, same thing for AP detail entry, and see just those documents. When it gets to a large number of documents in a queue, this is going to be very beneficial to be able to quickly see a snapshot of just the information you want to see, generally the oldest documents in a queue. And this is not limited to any sort of view amount. Views typically limited to 500, maybe as much as 2,000 documents. This will actually pull back every single thing in a queue. Another great feature is that I can actually use the button up here, Display All Data, to see every single row of data that is going into this table. So if I click Display All Data, it will actually show me, and this is paginated, which I can increase this, but 10 pages or 10 results per page show me every single thing inside of workflow that's configured to show in this dashboard. And even better, let's say I want to actually search through all of this data. It says there's 44 entries. So I've actually got a column set up over here to indicate who the current approver is if the document's in approvals. So let's say I want to see everything that's in the with the current approver, AP approver 1, which is an approval count I have set up. I start typing and it quickly filters down all the results to show me this document row here. And I can see that I have a couple different approvals pending for these two specific invoices. So, and then if I back out that search criteria, I can actually export all of this data to CSV, which then allows me to open that inside of Excel and filter and pivot that data to my heart's content. We don't want to try and recreate every Excel feature, so we just give you the ability to take this data and throw it into Excel. Now, this is just one example of how the yoga dashboard can be used. However, there's a lot of different information and columns that we can add to this and other data that we can report on. So really, this can be catered to your environment and your specific use case. The next feature I'd like to show you are our views and filters. Now I'm going to expand this views button over here, and you'll see that we have the accounts payable view that was built inside of Perceptive Content listed here. In this view, we'll pull back all of the invoices available up to the maximum number of entries, just like inside of the thick client. However, now inside of Yoga, we can build filters to allow us to quickly search through all of this data. I have a filter saved here called Computer World Invoices. This is searching by a vendor ID, as if I needed to quickly recall these documents often in my day-to-day. So I click on that and hit go, and it retrieves all of the documents that match that information. In this case, it's this vendor ID field, which is field 2, is equal to 1003. And from here, of course, I can review the information on the line items. I see that one of these documents is in task pending, which I know to be inside of approvals. So I can actually open the document and review the information. I can also save or update these filters. So let's say I wanted to change this to be for a custom property, vendor name. And I wanted it to be equal to Comtron, another vendor that I have to look for frequently. I hit go to make sure that my filter works, and look at that, it retrieves 6 entries, another series of invoices at different stages inside of my accounts payable process. I'm going to go ahead and save this as a new filter, so I save it as Comtron invoices. Create it, and it is now referenceable over here on the left underneath accounts payable. The final thing I'd like to demonstrate is the capability to perform your workflow actions inside of Yoga. I'm going to close up views here and go over to my workflows, expand accounts payable. And the first thing I'm going to do is check my header entry queue for any data that needs to be entered. First thing I'm going to do is open up this Comtron invoice here. You'll see I have my thumbnails over on the left side, my image here in the middle, and then my properties here on the right. Including my custom properties at the bottom. I have another tab here for my forms, and of course we have our APE form which loads up. I can perform all my data entry here. Now this one's already filled out as if it had gone through perhaps my my OCR, but I can of course enter additional comments or make any changes that I might need to. I can click validate, which will perform validation checks already built into the form. For example, if I don't have an invoice amount, it will tell me that that's missing. And after I validated everything, I will choose to save and route. So this will actually route the document to the next step in the workflow process. Okay. Then you'll see that it has disappeared. Then maybe I want to hop over to my AP exception queue to do to review an exception document. I'm going to open up this Striker Spine invoice, and I'm going to review the properties on it. I know that the wrong PO number is listed here on this document as I use my magnifying glass. So I'm actually going to leave a sticky note. And I might leave a note that says PO number is invalid. Please provide correct PO number. I'm going to add that, and I'm going to actually move that sticky note up there. I'm actually going to send this over to our purchasing department so that they can provide the correct PO number. I'm going to click Save and Route and send to purchasing. So this has been a quick demonstration of the major functionality of Yoga. I'm not going to get to everything. You can also approve or reject tasks, perform approvals. You can export documents. There's a lot of other functionality here. If there's any specific functionality you are looking to see a demonstration of, please reach out and we'll set up a demonstration for you. Thank you.
All right, that's our demo. Again, if you have any questions that came out of that demo, feel free to submit them via the GoToWebinar question window. And we're ready to take questions now.
All right, and as a reminder, if you guys have questions, please submit them through the GoToWebinar interface, and I can go ahead and ask them here. So our first question, if an approver puts their approved stamp on an invoice image, do they have to save the document before going on to the next one?
That's a great question. That was actually a design decision that we made that in Perceptive right now, there's generally a lot of user confusion between save and route and what does what and actually just closing the document. So you may have noticed in our demonstration that we went with a little bit different layout and user interaction. So there's a cancel button, which means that we're going to back out of this document without saving any changes. There's a save and close, and there's a save and route, so that you can reduce the number of clicks necessary. Great question.
How are user permissions handled at this time? Or are they all pulled from Perceptive?
Yeah, so every call we make is verified using the user context so that we can identify whether we're using the appropriate permissions or not. That said, the reporting dashboard is right now sort of permission agnostic. It's something that you can control who has access to it, but if a person has access to it, they can see that data.
You mentioned the indexing tab. How could we use that indexing tab in other areas?
I think there are a lot of ways. So anywhere where an eForm is used for document separation, document indexing right now, or you would like to use in the future, whether that's a human resources to index incoming employee files, or in a higher education solution indexing student files, there are a lot of opportunities for the indexing tab.
All right, that's it.
All right, well, thanks for joining us. And just a few more things for you to consider is if you want more information on yoga or RPI in general, these are some links. Of note is the Yoga SMS webinar, which we did a few months ago. Yoga SMS is a approvals workflow done via text message. So, and then we also have our knowledge base and a number of other recorded webinars available on our website. So thanks for joining us, and everyone have a good day.
Thank you, guys.